Yeah, it says live video is starting, so I'm going to assume it's true. What's up, everyone? Yes, it's Tuesday, like noon 22 Pacific time, the year of our Lord 2025, September 16th. It is my late father's birthday, the second birthday um, since his passing. So I'll call my mom a little later today. Uh, it is interesting, I've talked about his passing, which was in 2024, uh, in April, and it was just so surprising, the whole experience for how it felt here. Like I think I was very lucky that we were able to, connect on some level deeply before he passed and do all that work, especially the code status stuff. So it wasn't as traumatic as it might have been. But yeah, I just, as I read the date, I realized that. So come on down, Albin Martinez. How are you? Let's talk about all the deep stuff and the shallow stuff. This political violence thing. My main comment on that, my mother and I were talking about this the other day, and she was getting very like, I can't believe this and that sort of thing. And hi, Bridget. My feeling was, of course, this is exactly what humans do when they hold beliefs and actually think they are true of any kind. Because ultimately you can examine every single belief and deconstruct it into dust, perspective, view. It's fine to have beliefs. It's fine to hold them. It's fine to even argue for them, advocate for them, fight for them in a way. But to truly believe them means you're willing to go out with a gun and kill someone who believes other, because his beliefs triggered your beliefs and vice versa, and it's a whole shit show. And this is what social media actually makes money doing. It's what its algorithm is actually designed to do. And we're all just total puppets to algorithms we don't even understand. And that's one of the reasons why polarization in the country has gotten so bad. So if you bring it to kind of an awakening perspective, it's like, well, when you see through all beliefs, you also see that all beliefs are a temporary provisional view. Even the belief that there is such a thing called spiritual awakening or liberation, even that gets deconstructed. And then you're just left right back here, sitting with your legs crossed next to a poo emoji, talking to mostly strangers in the middle of a work week. Kim says, yesterday was the anniversary of the Birmingham bombing that killed 4 young black girls. Hate kills. It's not even hate, Kim. I really think it just comes down to belief. Holding beliefs as something that's absolutely true. This is our fundamental human delusion. Like, for example, let's examine this belief. I'm a separate person in a world of other separate people, and I have to fight to survive. So can you examine that you're actually separate from everything that's occurring? And the more you actually relax into current experience, the more it can be seen that that belief is just another thought form. It's got an energetic component because there's a feeling of body. We're calling body, all this other stuff. There's a chance where I get to rub my own pecs whenever I talk about body. I've lost my mind a little bit, gang. And it's a good thing. And so this belief that we're separate means we're willing to hate others. We're willing to fight others. We're willing to do those things. So to me, I would say, or belief is a poison, hate's a poison, all that. It's another view. It's another appearance. And if our goal is to relieve suffering, then holding those beliefs in that way does the opposite. And I'll go so far as to say, across the board, you could say, actually, on examination, there's no such thing as a true belief. None. Like, in this moment, none of that can be found to be anything more than a thought form. And that itself is liberation from a kind of bondage to this mental matrix, this social matrix, the hate matrix, like the matrix that says that I have these beliefs and they have those beliefs and I'm going to fight them, or they've wronged me in some way, and so on and so forth. Now, it's normal for the human body-mind organism to go out and try to survive. It's going to do that. It's going to kill things to eat them. It's going to harvest things. It's going to argue with its neighbors. It's going to push for territorial stuff. This is all conditioning. That's all we are, is conditioning. Try to find either free will or an absence of free will in that organism, and you can't. It's just all thought. It's all more belief. So ultimately, humans are going to human. Life is going to life. But there's this added layer in humans of belief. I'm not sure a cat or a dog has a belief. They're just living life. They're just like YOLO, man. Let's see. I understand completely how you feel about your dad's passing, says Bridget. Hi back. I've always loved your voice and views. I've worked with a few doctors like you in my 38 years of nursing. I appreciate you so much. That's really kind. So this kind of parasocial relationship that we have through Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all of that, I used to really struggle with it, because like Bridget knows me in some sense. She knows what I put out there and it resonates with her. But I don't know Bridget. I can't know her unless we meet or, have some sort of other parasocial relationship. And it used to feel very broken, kind of one-sided. But that's even modulated because I realized that was another view that I was holding. It's another belief. Like, how is this any different than anything? It's like, here it is. It's an interaction. It's beautiful. It's two humans apparently interacting. And it's lovely. And if it brings someone happiness and joy, like that comment brought me joy, it's beautiful. And it reminded me of my father too. And our last few conversations, which were just these like exquisite sort of letting goes. Do you know the very last conversation I had with my father was when my mother was trying to call 911 because he wasn't doing well at home and he wouldn't go. And he did not have the kind of DNR order that said, I want to pass at home. That was not something he wanted because he knew it would traumatize my mother and she wouldn't be able to live in the house that they've lived in for so long and so on. And that wasn't something, and he was okay with like going to the hospital. But being a stubborn, old pulmonology trained doctor himself, he didn't really know that he wanted to go. He was like, I don't think I really need to go. I'm not sure, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And of course, my mother knew he needed to go. She'd been taking care of him for a while. And so I got a call, late in the evening, and it was my mother saying, he's really not doing well. He needs to go to the ER, but he won't go until he talks to you. And, it's like, my dad's birthday. All your life, you're trying to get your dad's approval. That's how it was for me. It's like, there's always a sense of unworthiness. Like, am I even supposed to be alive? We all of us have that to some extent. I think doctors, healthcare professionals have it more. There's some sense of like inner imperfection or unworthiness. And so we externalize it and project through all this belief and action that we're like helping others and we're going to make ourselves worthwhile. We're going to make enough money. We're going to save enough lives. We're going to be the best doctor or nurse or respiratory therapist or nutritionist or dietitian or lab technician or rad tech or whatever, fill in the blank, administrator, CEO, whatever it is. And that goes on forever and ever. And so for much of my life, I was like, how do I get dad's approval? This wasn't conscious. Consciously, I would say, yeah, whatever, that old guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But inside, it was like, I want him to think I'm good enough, right? And the few conversations that we had had leading up to, few meaning these last few, leading up to that day when I got called, just adding in backstory, this is me processing because it's his birthday. They were about my life. They were about, he was asking, so what are you doing now? Like, you're not practicing medicine. You don't have your clinic anymore. I was telling him, I'm not going out and doing talks anymore because it feels inauthentic now. Like I've already said everything I want to say about that. and taking money from people to go fly somewhere and stand in front of them and do a kind of arc and a song and dance that I've done for in some version for so long, it feels like that's been done. Like it doesn't feel like me anymore. In fact, me in this process of ego dissolution is ego meaning all the beliefs about who I am, my identity, my worth, like reality, everything kind of falling apart intentionally. That's actually never intentional because we're not doing any of it. Led me to the point where I told him, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, then why don't you go practice medicine again? And I said, but that's been done too. That's not me anymore. That. And I said, why didn't you retire until just a couple of years ago? Like, why did you keep working? And he said, every day I get up, I put on a shirt and a tie and a coat and I go in and I help people. And that made me feel like I was living something with purpose. And I said, that's beautiful. Like, that is so beautiful. I've never heard you talk about it that way. You know, for him, it had always been this kind of fear-based thing. Like, well, how are you going to make a living? How are you going to support your family? Like, even when he had enough money, it was never enough because he came from poverty in India, like abject poverty. Like he used to have to fish in the local stream to eat. Otherwise, they wouldn't eat, right? It was that bad. And to hear him say, no, it had this other meaning. That's why I never retired. You know, it wasn't fear. It was love. You know, love for what I felt was, this is what this body's supposed to do. And he didn't say it in those words, but he said it exactly like that. And I told him, that's so beautiful. I said, that is exactly how I feel when I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing right now. Whatever it is, even if it's making a video, if it's going to meditation retreats. At that time, it was more about, you know, this awakening stuff. Like, I just want to sit in a room and examine this present moment, or I want to sit with others who are doing the same thing, or I want to talk about this with guests on a show, whatever it was at that time. Now even that's kind of fallen away. But I said, that's how I feel when I do that. Like, it feels like I was born to do this. Like this, there's no choice. And he said, oh, okay then. That was it. No hassling me. No, but what about money? All the usual dad things that he would do, the Indian dad things. You know, it's all about safety and taking care of your family and all that. He was like, okay. I am so grateful that we could see each other clearly in that moment, because I don't know, it was funny. So it's set up for that last day when, now remember, I haven't practiced medicine in a little while. I told him I'm not doing this anymore. I'd always been trying to get his approval as a professional, as a doctor, you know, go to Stanford, get the degree, like do better than your dad, all the stuff that you try to do. And he would never say anything overtly about that, right? It was always like, well, what are you doing next? You know, are you sure you have, you know, are you taking care of that? You know, you should really consider that. He would even send me jokes to put in my talks. He's like, I have a joke book, and I pulled 5 different jokes, and I was always super kind about it because I saw it as just such an act of love. Like, you know, and the jokes were super corny, but every now and again there'd be one that was like hilarious. And I was like, that's actually really good. And he would say things like, well, you ought to chip off the old block. But so that day, so my mom gives him the phone, and he's like speaking in these short sentences. Like, I knew he needed to go to the hospital. And he said, okay, so here's what's going on, you know, breathing. There's some shortness of breath, you know, a little bit of difficulty speaking. Mother says I'm a bit confused. He's telling me all this. So I asked him, what are your vitals? Did you take vitals? Yeah, you know, the pulse is this, it's AFib, it's stable. Blood pressure was this. Okay. What's the O2 sat? 73. 73. So then he starts talking about the differential diagnosis. Could it be a PE? Could it be my COPD acting up? He's never smoked, but lived in the Central Valley of California, so it was all kind of pollution. Plus, he had a paralyzed hemidiaphragm from a esophageal hernia operation. Plus, he had restrictive lung disease from severe scoliosis that he was born with. So his lung capacity is not great. He'd had pneumonia. He'd been admitted 2 years ago, got very sick. We thought he was going to die. So we'd been through a dress rehearsal of this, including the code status where he told me directly to my face in the nursing home where he was recovering, yeah, do not resuscitate, do not intubate. I don't want any of that. Just do everything up to that point. So we were lucky to have that. And part of the reason is I'd made that video, Ain't the Way to Die, and he'd seen it, and it opened the conversation, like even with my own dad, right? So, because doctors are the worst. So I said, Dad, I think the differential diagnosis doesn't matter so much as the acute hypoxia that we're seeing on the thing. And I think it's a good idea to go to the emergency department because something could happen. You could have a cardiac arrest right there in front of mom, and that won't be good. So maybe they can at least do a workup and see what's reversible. And I asked him again, but if something's there that's severe, what would you want me to tell them? Has anything changed? And he said, no, tell them that I don't want breathing tube. I don't want all of that, electric shocks. I just don't want that. So I said, okay, I understand. So, he's 83. So he went to the ER. I spoke with the staff there. My mother did too. We told them the wishes. And the rest of the story I've told elsewhere, but that was the last time he and I spoke. And the way that I felt when he was asking that, of course, I was scared for him and worried, and I knew it was serious, and I was very concerned he was going to die. But it felt there was a lot of equanimity because we had this practice run and also years of meditation and sitting and being present with what's arising without being so reactive. It's more like a response. But it was this gift that he gave me, which was, I'm asking you for your professional opinion as to what I should do with my last hours. He didn't know they were his last hours, but he knew something was serious. And until you tell me it's your opinion that I go, I'm not going to go. I mean, what a gift that he gave me. He made me feel like a doctor. He made me feel like a colleague. And he made me feel like his son, all at the same time. Yeah, I mean, they don't make them like that anymore, I think, like my dad. So happy birthday, Dad. I know you're watching this because you would watch all my videos. And anytime I did a talk, he's like, is there any video of the talk? Did you get any applause? Did they laugh at your jokes? Yeah, people were asking. My dad passed away April 15th of 2024. Marcy says, I'm glad you had that time with your dad. It's so precious. Yeah, it really was. And now my mom, a year and a half later, has really risen to the occasion. She's living in the house. She's managing everything with our help. She's an absolute monster. Of course she misses him, and of course there's grief, and it all kind of unfolds. But it's nice to see how she's not fallen apart. She's actually kind of fallen together, which has always been her thing. She's a really strong lady. Hi, Scarlett. Yeah, Jeannie, Jenny, that generation was the best. So my dad's generation was the so-called silent generation. They remind me so much because they were the small generation prior to the boomers. They remind me a lot of Gen X, which was also the small generation. And we've been pretty invisible too. Yeah, Lisa, that right there is the approval from him you were seeking. And it's funny, I didn't think I needed it anymore. And yet when it was given freely and unasked for, in that way. It was so deeply felt. There was so much gratitude, you know? That's lifing. That's what I'm saying is you can't bypass this. You can't. You can go live in a cave, you're still a human. And then if you're fully in the human and you don't understand or feel the insubstantiality of this, the fact that this is kind of like a dream, that can be its own kind of suffering. And something may crack you open, right? Even if it's just a flow state transiently where you're in some activity and the sense of self drops away and there's just the activity. Mish says, my dad from the same generation passed away May 18th, 2025. Sorry for your loss. Pancreatic cancer. Let me pull that back up. He lived 3 years with it. Wow, that's a long time. Wow. Yeah, hey, I feel you. And he worked while getting chemo. Wow. Pamela says that your eyes were open to understand this is also another gift. Yes, Pamela, yes. Okay, there's so many other ways that whole sequence of events could have been interpreted by the Zubin character. Why aren't you there right now? You should have anticipated this and gone there. All the different things you should have done to prevent this from happening. You know, why did I agree to DNR, DNI? They should have at least intubated him. Maybe he would have survived. Like all those things that people do. None of that. Not a bit of that. Like the wisp would show up and I'd be like, another provisional view. It doesn't make any sense. This is what happened. So this is the only thing that could have happened. And it's beautiful as it is because it is the perfection playing out perfectly. If you were religious, you would say it's God's will. If you're like me, you would say there's only this. It couldn't be other. All of this is God. And you know, these are just ways we talk. It's felt. This is a felt thing. It's an experience, tone, felt thing. Yeah, some beautiful comments here. Let's see. Today is Pythagorean theorem day, 9, 16, 25, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Debbie, you are my kind of nerd. Unfortunately, that's a math nerd. I don't do math. That's why I went into medicine. Math was hard. Sherry says, my husband died a year ago next month, and I've been a nurse for over 30 years, and he asked if he was going to be okay, and I said, common procedure, quadruple bypass. I feel like crap. Sherry Duggan. I'm so sorry that this happened in a way that now that feeling is arising for you. The feeling has validity only in as far as it's arising for you. So it's there. So you can't say you shouldn't feel bad. You shouldn't feel like crap. You'd say, yeah, it feels like crap. But here's the story why. Because I told him this and he asked me this. And so that story is a story that I'm believing. It's belief. We're back to belief. Sometimes you can look inside and realize nothing could have been different because it happened the way it did. And so nothing you would have said or done would have changed anything, right? And it couldn't have been otherwise anyway. So these are more games the mind plays to torture us. Because the mind is, it's not a thing. It's this illusory set of apparitions that seems to have a function. And that function is to keep us alive, safe, and reproducing. And so as part of its function, it's always looking for mistakes, threats, problems to solve. It's creating problems to solve. So it creates this problem Why did I say that to him? And then it adds this second arrow onto the original arrow of, I've lost my husband. The second arrow is entirely constructed. And it is suffering. It is suffering in itself. That's why the great religions do preach forgiveness. Forgiveness is another way of saying it couldn't have been other. I'm letting this go, especially forgiveness towards self. It couldn't have been other. But moving forward, maybe if there was something I did to hurt someone, I'll try my best not to do that again. There's a learning. Jenny, that's good. Oh, and Misha's dad's birthday was September 5th, 1940. Yeah, mine was, my dad's was September 16th, 1938. Boy, we're like dad brothers or sisters. I don't know your gender because I can't see the avatar. Joseph, thank you for the gift of sharing your dad with all of us. I always enjoyed seeing both your parents on the show. Tremendous wisdom. That's right. I always forget that you guys know who they are. That's that parasocial relationship again. I feel like I'm speaking to people who don't know anything about me. It's so strange, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. My dad would really enjoy that comment. Scarlett says, you've been in healthcare. You've seen those that do that. And when dad is ready, that's his wishes. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. You don't change the code status because you want it. AJ says, just adding to that, I have a daughter with cystic fibrosis and found you during the pandemic, which was a very concerning time for us as a family, I bet. You're amazing for us to keep the hope and battle away. She's now on Trikafta, right? And so that her life has changed remarkably. It's amazing, right? Thanks for helping. It did and does. My stepfather died first week of the lockdowns. It was his time. It was okay. Lovely to hear about your dad. Love the awakening conversations. It's soothing too. So see, AJ, like you're the type of person that makes, when I was telling my dad what I do now and how it feels, it's because of that. It's because of this. It's that. So thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm so happy for your daughter. Chrissy says, sorry for your loss. Your father's soul will be surrounded by peace. His memory will always be a blessing. Yeah, he's his ashes are up on the fireplace at our family home in Clovis, California. And it's on his, it's on the mantle that he used to love, right under this fucking obnoxious burlwood clock that he bought in Yosemite when we were kids. And that clock weighs like 100 pounds. And every time I would go visit them, he'd be like, the battery in the clock needs to be changed. Can you go ahead and do that? Here's a couple AA batteries. And it would only last like a year. And I would have to go up there. I would complain the whole time. I'd be like, just get rid of this fucking clock, Dad. It sucks. I would lift it up, nearly tweak my back. And then I would take out the batteries, and then getting it had this little hole in it, getting it back in this nail that was in the brick above the mantle was like an ordeal because the thing weighs like 50 pounds. And I'm holding it up with my shoulders. My AC joints are screaming at me. I'm trying to get this thing, and you're doing it by feel, and it's scraping. It's it's like nails across the chalkboard. And finally it would get in, and I'd be like, fuck. Next time I come, I want that clock gone. And of course, next time I come, the clock will be there. He's like, hey, the clock's batteries have stopped. You need to change them. So he's sitting right under that clock, which is perfect. Perfect. And I still go and change the batteries. So there you go. Oh, nice day. D, a dissertation on forgiveness. That's beautiful. How do you guys feel about this particular camera angle? I stumbled on it the other day when I was making this little reel, the Let It Flow music video. The real camera that I usually use is there, but I just took the guest camera and put it on the side, and I realized the light kind of works. So let me know if you like this. It felt a little intimate to my supporters when I did a show last night, the paying subscribers, and I thought, oh, let's try it for a live show. Um, Mish says, was your dad religious? My dad was very Catholic and always told me that God said hello when he got home from church. Yeah, my dad was a Zoroastrian, and he was quite religious. He would do his prayers twice a day and all of that. And he used to ask me why I was, such a kind of agnostic meditator and so into, spirituality without the overt organized religion, God component, and why I would spend so much time sitting in silence and going on retreats and reading all these books and all that. And I told him the same reason you pray. It's an act of surrender to something that we don't understand. It's letting that thing dissolve and relax and seeing what's here. And it feels divine. It's divinity itself. Claire says, it's been many years since my daughter died at 2.5, and I find now that I'm grateful for birth and death and what they taught me about being human. Also true now about my parents' death, similar for you, in what came from his death. Oh, beautiful. I mean, it's all 2.5 years old. Wow. I mean, it's the human experience is like, wow, what a story and a drama and emotion and pain and tragedy and loss and love and all of it. And then underneath it, in every single moment, every particle of energy vibrating in this feels like pure unconditional loveness. Like no separation from anything, just one radiant love. So beyond the human love idea, thought, sensation. It's like, and it's right here. It's right here for everyone. It is what we are in that sense, in that way of speaking. This is a bit of a conceptual story, but it is what we are. Don't believe me on that. Feel it. You might feel it in church. You might feel it when you pray. You might feel it when you see your daughter get married. You might feel it at the death of a loved one. You might feel it at the birth of a child. You might feel it at a soccer game. Now I feel it anytime I look. Anytime I look. It's like the whole body lights up with love. And it's not a conditional love. It's not a love that says, you did good, I love you. You're close to me, I love you. It's love that says this, oh my God, all of it. You guys got me all serious today. Loveness. Yes, loveness. Autocorrect to loveless, Claire. There are two sides. Oh, actually, hold on. Okay. Let me get even more serious for a second, okay? When humans talk about love, we're often talking about conditional love, the love for a family. What's the condition there? They were born our family. So in a sense, it's unconditional. Like whatever they do, we still love them. But no, there was a condition. They're ours. They belong to us. They're related to us in some way. With any kind of conditional love in this duality, this relative world, comes its opposite, hate. They co-generate like matter and antimatter. They come into existence as a pair. So when you first fall in love with someone, it might be this amazing thing. You feel like the entire universe is opened. It's this cosmic thing. And then the things start to pile up and there's an argument or two and then another argument and then a breakup and then there's hate. The opposite. What I'm pointing at, this unconditional loveness that is the fabric of this, that can be felt as the fabric of this. I can't say anything is anything because that's belief, that's story, that's another view, it's another position. I can say it feels like everything is loveness, this interpenetrated, interconnected, co-happening everything. And it's felt as pure, unconditional love, bliss, perfection. And it has no opposite. Because it includes both love and hate. It includes war and peace. It includes good and bad. It is everything made of that bliss, loveness, because there's nothing else. There's only this one, not two, not one, just this. Loveness, beyond love and hate. Accepting of love and hate perfectly. Inclusive of it. Go live your life. Feel love, feel hate. But know at the core, oh, it's all this. It's all okay. It's beyond okay. It's beyond okay and not okay, and inclusive of okay and not okay. Agape love, that's right, Margie. That's another term for it. Oh, I think you'd make a great death doula, Margie. There's some people in my supporter tribe who work in end of life, and they're amazing. Amazing. Oh, let me see here. How do we have so many viewers in the middle of a Tuesday weekday? So let's scroll back a bit and see what I missed in terms of comments. Okay, Misha's a female. Okay, good. Identifies as female. Just going back here. Ramana Anamraju says, do you think AI is conscious? Okay, I'm going to start this by saying I don't know anything about anything because I can't. An illusion can't know about the dream that it's a character in. However, this is my felt sense about AI. It's no different from how our minds work in this way. Stuff is just arising. Associations, causes and conditions, spitting out something. So a better question is not, is AI conscious? A better question is, are we conscious? Let me repeat that. It's not so much a question of, is AI conscious? It's a question of, are we conscious? Examine your own experience. It feels like at this moment, I am having an experience. Mysteriously. I don't understand how consciousness works. I'm calling it, I'm using the word consciousness to say the witnessing knowingness that sees objects, sensations, sights, sounds, tastes, smells, thoughts. So we're saying humans have this consciousness. We think animals have it too, that witnesses a world. And then the question is, does AI have the same ability to have this awareness? So look back. Can you find consciousness? Can you find anything we're calling consciousness that isn't itself another appearance, another object, another thought? And then just entertain the possibility. This is kind of a little, if you're on a spiritual path, this is at the end of it. Okay? So you'll have experiences if you're a meditator and stuff where you feel like you are just consciousness, or you're experiencing pure awakeness without an object. That's all fine. It's another thought form, another appearance. What are these phenomena? Are we aware of them? Is there consciousness that's got the lights on, that's aware of all this? Or are there just the phenomena made of knowingness, lovingness, energy, self-knowing. And the great illusion is the series of phenomena that make up what we think is our body and our mind and our sensorium are just more of those phenomenal appearances, self-aware, self-radiant. And the grand illusion is that that takes the form of the appearance of one who is apart from everything, that knows it, that is conscious, unlike that AI, which is unconscious. What if all of that was wrong? How would that change your entire worldview, experience, position? There's no you, there's no consciousness, there's only what is, which is the phenomena dancing ephemerally. Now, how are you different from AI? AI is another process, another phenomenal appearance, so am I. Just so happens this phenomenal appearance can take the form of the experience of a separate self that feels love, hate, anger, jealousy, boredom in a world that's apart from it. All that can collapse into just this. And that's what I mean by lovingness or knowingness. People use the word consciousness there too. It's just a word. But it's not a witness. It's not something separate. It's not an attribute of me. It is the fabric of this in experience, experientially. I don't know what the truth is. I can't say anything about that because this illusion can't know anything about reality. So believe what you want about the ontology, about the actual truth, but experientially, there's only the phenomena, self-radiant, and the self sense can drop. And then it's just, whoa, can't say a word about it because words imply a self, a subject and an object. Paul's 3 a.m. in Bangkok. Good night. Hey, one night in Bangkok makes a hard man humble. Dun, 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 the girls ain't free. I can feel the devil walking next to me. Murray Head, man, from the musical Chess. Good night, Paul. Pamela says, want to hear something weird? Whenever I go out and enter a grocery store shop, in my head, I send out a love frequency to all those in the store I'm in. That's beautiful. I mean, that's a practice, meditation, compassion. And it doesn't matter what it does for them, although you'd be surprised what it does for them. It's what it does for you. You're tuning into that lovingness, that non-separation, unconditional love. Even for that jackass blocking the quinoa. Quinoa. All right. I think we did a thing, gang. Any other thoughts, questions? Hit me up now. It's your last chance. Last chance with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. It's actually last dance, but who's counting? Anybody? Anybody? There's a little delay, so I'll give you a second. There's a little latency in the feed. 80 people still here, so someone might have a comment or a question as we leave. I enjoy your inner rock star performances, Margie. It's just how Zubin is wired. He's always wanted to be a famous rock star, and he didn't have the talent, so now he's inflicting himself on all y'all. Mish, that's very sweet of you. I don't know about that. Nothing about my voice feels very lovely. I just do my best with the terrible hand I've been given. I love you too, Tom. Good to see you. Laura, be well. Take care. All right. Think we did a thing. Until next time.